Hey there, Fountain family. It's your girl Tika, and I am here with the fourth installment of our Black History Spotlight. Today, I'm with Sister Melita Twitty, and she has a story for us about her father, Mr. Roy M. Twitty, president of CORE. Now, we'll get to that. Sis Melita has a story to tell. Hey, sis.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
So, let's talk about Mr. Roy.
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning because she has quite a story. So sit back. Let's start from the beginning when he was small and he was in the military.
Okay. When I was born, years later, I guess my father wanted to go for a better life. So he joined the service. He joined the Air Force. And he was stationed in Tucson, Arizona. After he got out of the Air Force, he stayed in Tucson. And while he was in the Air Force, he was a boxer. So we'll have pictures of that. But he was a boxer. And I guess when he got out of the service, he used his fighting power to forward onto civil rights. He formed the first chapter of CORE in Tucson, Arizona, fighting for human rights, black, brown, white people, everybody, because he saw the need that a lot of people were not valued and not treated like they should have been. He fought for folks that were unemployed. There's articles showing that his fight was prisoners were used for workers, garbage collecting, and for sites around the city, rather than employing people to get jobs. So there was a big a void there where people were unemployed and people didn't have a means of support. So he fought for them. He also went to a restaurant, and white only restaurant, because back in the 60s it was all white, and majority of the states were white only, and they had signs up saying only white people would be served. Black people would have to go to the back door to be served for their food. So in this restaurant, the restaurant owners wanted him to leave, and he was like, no, I should be served. I'm clean. I haven't done anything, to discourage you. I want to be served. So white folks the owners called the police, and they charged him for loitering, and he had a court case. So they had a court case. He went to court, and they wanted to find him. They didn't see any reason to charge him, but they charged him $10 for his being in, not leaving these people's place and loitering. So he didn't want to pay the $10, so he appealed it, and he appealed it all the way up to the Supreme Court of that area. Wow. Long story short, he never won that appeal. Okay. So it went on, and civil rights was always a big issue with him, trying to fight for rights. And he also came back to North Carolina. He didn't move back to North Carolina, but he would come into North Carolina and try to integrate different diners, restaurants. I remember he came into the movie theater, because at that time, the black people, we had to sit in the balcony, and the white folks had to sit in the downstairs. So he and some more people from the area went into the movie theater, and they integrated the movie theater. This is in '65. So his whole fight was to try to make it better for mankind.
So he went from the military to civil rights activist.
Yes.
Military boxer to fighter for civil rights for all parties.
Yes.
So explain what happened to him, basically, because of all his civil rights work.
Okay, because he traveled with Corps leaders. There was an incident where uh, there was a community meeting with the Corps leader. The Corps leader, the president of Corps at that time was Roy Wilkins. Roy Wilkins was at this meeting, and he did not recognize my father as the leader of the Tucson branch of Corps. And it seemed that Roy Wilkins was more on the town halls, the councilman's side, and he did not recognize my father, so my father walked out, and took his people that were in his organization with him. So he and Roy Wilkins sort of butt heads, and he stopped. He resigned from Corps at that time.
And who's Roy Wilkins?
Roy Wilkins was the president of Corps.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what happened to your father?
Okay, so my father, he was a person that he had a lot of fight in him. He not only fought in the Air Force, but as a boxer, but he had a lot of fight in him. So the story goes, my sister and I, we were trying to find information on my father. We found out where he was buried. We did not know where he was buried because we at that time we were 9 and 10 when he was killed.
So tell us how he was killed.
So we went to the cemetery. I mean, we found a cemetery where he was buried, and one of the funeral directors was a friend of my father's, and he was so excited to see us, and he told us stories of my father, and he told us how my father was killed. He went to Louisiana. It was a garbage strike, and he went to help out garbage workers in Louisiana. And he got into a fight in a bar with a white guy, and the white guy had a piece of wood. The wood had a nail attached to it. He hit my father in the stomach with that plank, and he ripped my father's insides.
Wow.
And my father died from that a couple of days later.
So prior to you and your sister doing research, you didn't know that your father was murdered, basically.
Yeah, we knew he was murdered. We didn't know how.
Okay.
Yeah. We have, because my grandmother and aunts and uncles, they always kept us. They always told us stories of my father. So we grew up knowing of him, but he would come home, but he didn't stay in one place because of. It was always something on his head because of the work that he did.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about the research that you and your sister did.
Okay.
Investigators, they were girls after my own heart. I love a good crime show. Tell us about what you guys did.
Okay. In order to find, we wanted to find out where my father was buried. That was my grandmother, and everybody wanted to know where he was buried, wanted to visit his grave. So when we got older, we set out to find out where he was buried. So what the research that we had to do, we went to the Mormon church. There's a Mormon church has files on every deceased person in the United States.
Really?
Okay, so if you ever want to find out information on your history, or your history, your families, or anyone, you can go into the Mormon church, and they have a whole record of everybody. So you count backwards. Like you would look for
great information.
You would look for Roy Twitty, and then in Roy Twitty, you would see it would be like a census report. It would have his sisters, his brothers, his mother, his father.
Oh.
So anytime you wanted to look for someone, you could go to a Mormon church, and that information is there. So we found. In that Mormon church, we found out where he was buried. So, and because we found where he was buried, now we wanted to write to find that the grave site, the cemetery, and all that. That led us to the Department of Library Archives and Public Records in Tucson. So we wrote to the library there, and then from there, they sent us numerous articles on my father, the life that he led, the rights that, not the rights, but the human rights that he fought for, all the articles of his
This is
comings and
activism.
goings. Yeah, so
Wow.
we were able to find that information out. So, and then, we wanted to find out, were we the only children? And my sister and I were the only children.
Mm-hmm.
So we found out all the information that we needed to find out, and then we set out to go to Arizona to visit his grave.
Wow.
And then that's when we met one of his friends who worked at the cemetery and was able to tell us more information.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Anything else you want to tell us?
My father
Yeah, so
also
much.
was he was an artist, so hopefully we'll have the picture that he drew. He was an artist before, and then he fought, and then he boxed. So we had to have a picture of him boxing,
Mm-hmm.
and that, and then after, well, so my sister and I, we had a little fight in us too. So we still lived in North Carolina, and we also helped to integrate the school system in our town. We only stayed there 1 year. That's all we could take.
Right. Right.
But we helped to integrate the school system in our town, which is a
Wow.
white school system. And then when we came to New Jersey, there was an issue at our school, Union High School, where we had leaders, and they said we were going to fight for our rights at the high school, and we were going to walk out at a certain time. So we met in the cafeteria, and we were going to plan, not we, but the leaders were planning on what we were supposed to be fighting for. And the National Guard came, locked us in the cafeteria, walked us home for 2 weeks. So that was the end of that. That was during the Black Panther days,
Mm.
with our afros and,
Mm-hmm.
Black Power and all that. So yeah, so we, that's the end of our little militant days.
So it's in your DNA.
It was in
So
our
you have
DNA. Had a little fight in us
Mr.
too.
Roy, civil rights activist. Well, Fountain family, there's Sister Melita with a great Black History Spotlight. Now, this is the 4th installment of the Spotlight. It will be played in the sanctuary, but we're going to keep this going because we are Black outside of February. We are Black year-round. And considering the status of our leadership right now, they're trying to take our Blackness from us, which we know they cannot do. So do some research on your family. You all have Black history in your family. You heard Sister Melita tell us about the Mormon church. I mean, who knew that? So do your research and get back with me. We're going to keep doing this, okay? We have to be Black as we can be now going forward, all right? Love you guys. Till next time.